Hey everybody, and welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. And you know what? We're going to do a little bit of time traveling today. We're going to go back to when I first tried printing something on a 3D printer. And these were the first painted results of stuff that I actually printed and didn't purchase from Etsy or something like that. These were the Blightergast Reanimators. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Pretty sure it was Blightergast Reanimators, or some combination of words thereof. And those came to us from Battle Yak Miniatures. And what impressed me at the time was the level of modularity that Battle Yak was putting into their figures. Yeah, they had kind of pre-made, pre-designed guys, but these were my own poorly printed concoctions. You can see just all those scar marks all over their bodies. And I want to say this might have even been before pre-supports were a thing, really. You had to do it all yourself. There might have been a few, and you can see there's a couple printing errors there that I just rolled with. But I had a lot of fun with these guys. I want to say these were the Wargast Blight Spewers. I know they were Wargast something. Blight Spewers, the Blight Hulk. On this big 50mm base. What a tubby. I don't know. I think the poor print job that I did at the time probably did him some favors. All pimply and gross. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to go back one of these days and actually highlight all those little scars. But funny enough, almost a year later, I've been printing like a madman, but Battle Yak Miniatures has been pumping out miniatures like a madman as well. And funny enough, I saw that they just did a revisit to the Blightergast monsters, and there's science run amok here, and I was like, we've got to get these guys printed. Number one, I thought it'd be cool because they were a really neat concept. I like the whole mechanical undead mix of science and magic and undead necromancy and all that. I mean, these guys you could probably play it a lot of different ways on the tabletop, but it wasn't something that I saw a lot of people doing outside of, like, the first thought was always, use them as, like, mechanothralls in war machines, or, have them be, servitors in 40k type games, but it's just something different, and that was one of the things that always really stood out to me about Battle Yak stuff, was they were really kind of doing something different, and I appreciated that. And so, I was kind of surprised to see that I feel like I'm the only one that felt that way. Why are there all these other Patreons that have just, gone bonkers in terms of popularity? And Battle Yak is just chugging along, and I'm like, why are there not more subscribers? Let's take a look at the newer stuff. I like the fact that I've seen a lot of variety and, quality in terms of where we are today. So these are the Dregborn. These are the newest ones, and just like their previous Blightergast fans, and obviously my poor sprue support removal, these guys are the more bare bones, bare-bodied zombie type brethren. And much like their more heavily armed and armored brethren, they have just as much modularity as well. So we printed up a couple of these guys. I want to say there were at least 4 or 5 poses. For the basic Dregborn, all of the modularity is actually in the heads. But again, I'd like to think it's an improvement in my print jobs. Oops, let me get in focus. Haven't primed them yet. I feel like the detail is pretty discernible. Now, this guy did have fingers. They did print, in fact. I busted them off when I was trying to clean them because I am incredibly clumsy and butterfingered when I'm wearing gloves and playing around with towels trying to clean stuff. So that's on me. I will own that one. Plop. You can even have them wandering around headless if you wanted. Heads fit on pretty nicely without any glue at this point, too. One of the really cool ones, though, was the Icon Bearer, and I don't have a head for him. I should stick one on just before I pop him on the screen there. What a fun guy. So this one, I didn't realize at first that he actually is hollowed out on the inside of his big bloated backside. You want to talk about an interesting standard. Here you go. I fought and fought to make sure that this guy is completely cleaned out. And I managed to crack the valve that hollows out there into the cavity. Whoops. Definitely an interesting one. But honestly, the coolest of the batch were the big dudes. This time around, they were called the Gallowglass. And weren't those like the Irish men-at-arms? That sounds right. But these guys gave me a major Cyberdemon vibe. Way more heavily armored, and I kind of messed up his eye post-cleanup. That's on me. And just like the smaller versions, they're just as modular. There's a few different head varieties and a whole bunch of weapon designs. And I gotta say, for the most part, everything came off the supports quite nicely, with the exception of one piece that had a little bit of failure in it. I was printing some of the weapons. I actually did end up doing a modular one just to give you guys a example. I'm thinking, if you want to, I mean, what's to stop you from slapping some Chaos-style weapons on there? You got yourself a nice little Exalted Prince. Yeah, my hammer didn't come out good. That's okay. I'm thinking I'm probably going to put some of the blasters on him instead, but there were claws and Wolverine-type things as well. He has a funky head. I like the head. Oops. So you can see they're actually a little bit smaller than the Blight Hulk, but that's okay. I think they're going to look quite nice all together. But the coolest thing is, this time around we got somebody to lead the charge, and that is the Reanimatrix. That is the Cephalix type master controller necromancer that is calling the shots here. So cool enough thing. We actually, you can see her right here, and there is a more scantily clad version if that is something that you need. I didn't. I got really wild and messy cleaning her off. That's on me. She does have her fingers. I'll give her credit for that. So if you actually just wanted to print her like that and have a mad scientist dressed up like Vash the Stampede, which I'm kind of tempted to paint her as, that works. But if you want to go full-on Cephalix Servitor engine seer, there is this crazy contraption that just plugs right into her back and then has an assortment of arms available. So if you want to go all Dog Ock on the tabletop, you most certainly can. Stands up pretty nice with it as well. Now, obviously, nothing is glued here, so the fact that she's balancing with that is a nice touch. I think I got most of the arms available. I think there were some other pincer claws. I know I have the syringe tool. There was like an energy canister thing you can plug in there if you wanted. Obviously, there were like all the other arms there that you could repeat. But, yeah, it's just kind of fun stuff. And I don't get it. Why are there not more people into this? I like the fact that we're doing something different. And to me, that's way more interesting and exciting and gets my attention. Maybe I'm in the minority than the Me Too copycat, you know, let's chase whatever the latest D&D module is that a lot of the other sculptors follow. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that. There's some absolutely class act sculptors doing that. But I really like seeing people march to their own tune, and always want to see them, you know, be successful as well. So if you're into undead necromantic horrors that offer up quite a bit of modularity, I guess the only real detraction I can find is the fact that the models skew a bit tall. So if you're going to have them on a 40k table, for example, you can see here just with our little Dregborn, he's already a good head taller than my Wargames Atlantic, not a guard guy, Romjager, or with a feudal guard from Maker's Cult. Again, nice, just generic stand-in guardsman, but, you know, if you're going to use bigger stuff like Primaris or actually use them in War Machine or in a Sigmar game, I guess then the size becomes a little bit less of an issue. And I mean, especially if you're getting into the high fantasy stuff, then who's to stop you, you know? Could make for an interesting army of undead types for like a Kings of War, 9th Age type game as well. I guess if you're going to go the more RPG route. I know a lot of people have WizKids and Reaper stuff. So again, just a little bit taller than your average human. But then again, for people like me, I like to have the baddies be a little bit larger than life, maybe with the exception of goblins. So something to think about. And one of the nice things, as always, with 3D printing is you can always tone things down or build them up as well. So definitely a very visually fun and unique set of models. You got a cool looking evil boss to command all of these legions, and if you have access, especially if you're on the Patreon page itself, you can get a lot of this stuff at reduced prices from the My Mini Factory page as well. And Battle Yak does have some fun stuff like the giant shark men. They've got some fun ogre designs, and their what were they called? They had the scarecrow dudes that were really cool too. I'll have to bust some of those out. I've painted a bunch of it myself. One of these days I'll just have to do a like retrospective video and all that stuff. But in the meantime, we'll put a link down below to both their Patreon page and their web shop if you guys are interested in any of this stuff. Do take a look. Fun stuff, modular sculpts, pre-supported, and definitely a unique vision for the monsters of the table. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.